If you told me a month ago that I'd end up fake dating the world's biggest pop star, I would have laughed in your face. And then gone back to counting coins at a gas station coffee counter because that was my life. Part-time job, cheap noodles, and pretending college wasn't slowly killing me. I wasn't anyone, just Shane, 23, professional nobody, trying to make it through rent week without crying. Then one headline ended all that. Global pop sensation Jaden Cross caught in scandal with mystery man. I blinked at the screen like it was a joke, because that mystery man was me. And the worst part? I hadn't even met Jaden Cross yet. I remember that morning, my phone buzzing nonstop, my group chat blowing up, my friend Luca texting, "Dude, why are you on TMZ with Jaden freaking Cross?" I laughed, kind of. You sure it's not some look-alike? Spoiler, it wasn't. A photo of me, or more specifically my back, next to Jaden outside a club. His hand near my shoulder, heads close. It looked intimate. It looked real. The internet lost its collective mind. And that's when the knock came. I opened the door to find two people standing there. A woman in a sleek black suit, and a man carrying a tablet like it was a weapon. "Shane Miller," the woman said. Yeah?" She gave me this PR perfect smile. "We represent Jaden Cross. We believe you can help us fix a small misunderstanding." Small misunderstanding? Sure. The entire internet thought I was sleeping with a pop god, but okay. They sat me down, explained everything. The scandal, the rumors, the damage to Jaden's brand. Then came the offer. You pretend to be his boyfriend just for a few weeks. Some public appearances, photos, and smiles. Nothing serious. I remember laughing. You mean fake dating? Like actually pretending to date a celebrity? She didn't laugh back. She just slid the contract across my kitchen table. When I saw the number, the payment, my brain short-circuited. It was enough to pay rent, tuition, and still have money left to replace my dying laptop. So, I said yes. I told myself it was just business. Easy money. Keep quiet, play nice, disappear when it's over. Then I met him, Jaden Cross, in the flesh. Tall golden hair that probably had its own stylist. Blue eyes that felt like they saw too much. He wasn't what I expected. Softer. Quieter. Like the fame had worn him thin. "Guess I should thank you for saving my ass," he said, shaking my hand. His grip was warm, too steady. I told him, "Don't mention it. I'm only here for the paycheck." He smiled like he didn't believe me. A few days later. The next few weeks blurred into chaos: photo shoots, interviews, fake dates, cameras clicked like machine guns, flashes going off so fast I was half blind before lunch. Jaden was born for this, every move he made. The tilt of his chin, the smirk, the way he adjusted his jacket. It all looked effortless. Meanwhile, I was standing beside him like someone's lost cousin who wandered onto a movie set. "Shane, can you hold him closer?" the photographer called. I froze. "Closer? How close?" Jaden leaned in, smirking. "Relax, I don't bite." He paused, his voice dropping just low enough for me to hear. "Unless it sells better." My brain short-circuited. I could hear the PR team exhale in relief when I didn't run off the set. The interviews were worse. Reporters threw questions like grenades. "When did you two fall in love? What's his favorite thing about you?" I panicked and said, He likes food?" Jaden snorted so hard the mic picked it up. "Food?" he repeated. "Yeah, you're always eating," I muttered. "You literally had 3 croissants before this interview." The reporter blinked. Jaden turned to me, still laughing, his eyes softening in a way that wasn't for the cameras. "That's actually true," he said, still grinning. "Guess he does know me." Fake dates were their own kind of circus. They'd book out entire restaurants for us. To look casual. I'd stare at the gold-plated menus, Trying not to choke on the prices, Jaden would whisper, "Don't order the lobster. It's just for decoration." One night at a gala, I accidentally knocked over a $20,000 champagne tower. Jaden didn't even flinch. He just pulled me close for the cameras and said through gritted teeth, "Smile like we meant to do that." And we did, both of us laughing like idiots while the world thought it was part of the act. We learned each other's rhythms. What to say, how to stand, when to smile. It almost felt rehearsed. Safe. But then came the moments no script could cover. His hand brushing mine between takes. His laugh was when I actually made him smile. And suddenly, pretending didn't feel so safe anymore. Until that night. The charity concert, lights blinding, crowd roaring, Jaden's voice echoing through the arena. I was supposed to stand off stage, just another prop in his perfect image. But then, right after the last chorus, Jaden turned, eyes locking on mine. And before I could even breathe, he walked straight over, grabbed my face, and kissed me. Not a PR-friendly peck, not some staged polite thing. It was real, desperate, wild. And the whole world saw it. The sound from the crowd hit like a bomb. People screamed. Cameras flashed. My body froze. His hand still on my jaw, his breath still on my lips, and for a moment, a stupid, impossible moment. It felt like nothing else existed. Then I realized. Millions were watching. When I got home, my phone had 387 notifications. News outlets, DMs, death threats, fan edits, all flooding in at once. Twitter, or X whatever, was on fire. And right in the middle of it all, a text from my mom, Shane. "What did you do?" Followed by another, "Your father wants to talk to you now." So yeah, that's how it started. One fake deal, one impulsive kiss, and suddenly I wasn't nobody anymore. I was the guy who kissed Jaden Cross on live TV. And my life? Yeah, it stopped being simple the second his lips touched mine. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my phone screaming calls, messages, notifications, like the entire world had decided I was trending content. And, well, I was. Hashtag Jaden Cross Kiss. Hashtag Who is Shane Miller? Hashtag Fake Boyfriend. Every tag, every video clip, every slowed down replay of that kiss. Looping endlessly online. People were analyzing the angle of our faces. The way Jaden's hand gripped my jaw. The way I didn't pull away. Apparently, I looked too into it. By noon, I couldn't even open my door. Reporters camped outside. Flashbulbs through my window blinds. Someone even mailed a letter calling me a homewrecker. Which was hilarious considering Jaden was single. But the real blow came when my phone buzzed again. Dad. I shouldn't have answered, but I did. "You've humiliated us," he said, voice like cold steel. "Do you have any idea how many people from a church have called?" I sat there, gripping my phone so tight my hand went numb. It's not what it looks like. Don't lie to me, we saw you. Your mother cried all night." And then the click of the line going dead. It felt like the whole world had turned into noise. Angry fans, tabloids. My family. Half of Jaden's fans were shipping us like it was the greatest love story ever. The other half were sending me death threats and telling me to stay away from their man. I shut my phone off for 2 days. I ignored every call, including the ones from him. Until one night, my doorbell rang at 2 a.m. I opened it, and there he was, Jaden Cross. Hoodie pulled low, face half hidden, standing in the hallway like a ghost. "I had to make sure you were okay," he said, voice rough. "You shouldn't be here," I snapped. "There are cameras everywhere." He didn't move. "I don't care." That made me angrier. I stepped closer. "You said this would be harmless." He flinched, eyes dropping. "I didn't plan the kiss." "Yeah," I said quietly. "Well, the world thinks you did." Silence. Just our breathing. Too close, too heavy. He looked at me then, really looked, and said almost broken, "I was trying to protect you. I didn't think." I cut him off. "You didn't think. At all." He left a few minutes later, but the damage didn't. Because now, every time I closed my eyes, I saw that kiss again. The heat, the pull, the part of me that hadn't wanted it to stop, and that was the worst part. Because somewhere in all the lies, I wasn't sure what was fake anymore. A few days later, I thought after the kiss, things would calm down. That maybe Jaden's team would quietly end the deal, pay me off, let me vanish. But no, they doubled down. Apparently, the world loved our chemistry, and pulling away now would look suspicious. So we were stuck two people who could barely look at each other without remembering that night. Now forced to act like we were madly in love. Interviews, photo shoots, red carpets. Everywhere we went, there were cameras flashing and fake smiles plastered on our faces. Jaden would slip his hand into mine as the photographers shouted our names, and I'd squeeze back. Because that's what we were paid to do, smile, laugh, pretend. And we did. God, we did it too well. There were moments between takes, quiet, fragile things, when I'd catch him looking at me. Not the glossy magazine cover stare everyone knew. Something softer, human. He'd laugh at something I said, and for a second, the exhaustion would drop from his shoulders, like he could finally breathe. That's when I started noticing it. The dark circles under his eyes, the way he flinched. When someone mentioned his image, the way he'd linger near me even when the cameras were gone. One night, after a long event, we ended up in his dressing room. The crowd was still screaming outside. His team had left. He sat on the couch, hands buried in his hair, just tired. I didn't know what to say, so I just sat down next to him. For a while, we didn't talk. Just sat in silence that felt too heavy, too full. Then he said it. "I thought if I kissed you," he murmured, voice cracking, "it would make the world shut up. But now I can't stop thinking about it." The words hung between us, electric and dangerous. I felt my chest tighten, because I'd been thinking about it too every damn day. But I couldn't say that. Not when the entire world was watching. Not when his life, our lives, were nothing but performance. So I forced a smile, looked away, and said quietly, "You really shouldn't." And for a second I thought he might argue. He didn't. He just nodded, eyes full of something I didn't want to name, and whispered, "Yeah, I know." But as I left that room, I couldn't shake the truth buzzing under my skin. Somewhere between the fake smiles and the forced touches, something had shifted. And I wasn't sure I could pretend anymore. A few weeks later, for a while, it almost felt normal again. The noise faded. The fans calmed down. We'd gotten good at pretending. Too good. Then, one morning, it all came crashing down. I woke up to my phone buzzing nonstop. Again. Only this time, the headlines were worse. Exposed. Jaden Cross's relationship was contracted fake. Insider leaks pure documents. Meet the nobody who faked love for fame. My stomach dropped screenshots, email chains, even the contract. My signature, right there in black ink, all over the internet. Within hours, my name was everywhere again. The same people who had shipped us now called me a liar, a fraud, a clout chaser. He used Jaden for fame. Knew he was too good to be true. Disgusting. I didn't leave my apartment for 2 days when Jaden finally showed up. His expression said everything before he even spoke. "I didn't leak it," he said quietly. "I know." He hesitated. My label. They want me to fix this, to make a statement. I already knew what that meant. A public apology, denying everything, pretending none of it, not the kiss, not the late nights, not the quiet moments, had ever been real. I nodded, throat tight. "Do it," I said. "Save yourself." His jaw tensed. "Shane? No, seriously." I forced a laugh that didn't sound like me. "You're Jaden Cross. You can't burn your career for something that wasn't even supposed to happen." He looked at me then. Really looked, eyes bright, raw, torn between the life he built and the one he wasn't supposed to want. And then he said softly, "Maybe I don't want to save myself." For a second, I couldn't breathe because it sounded like a confession. But before I could answer, his phone rang. His manager. His world calling him back to reality. He hesitated, then turned away to answer. And I just stood there, watching him go, wondering when pretending had turned into the real thing I'd ever felt. 2 days later. I told myself I wasn't going to watch Jaden's exclusive interview. The one his label planned to clean up the mess, rebuild his image, erase me. But of course I watched, because I'm an idiot, because part of me still needed to know if he'd do it, if he'd pretend I never mattered. So there I was, sitting on my couch in the dark, laptop screen lighting up my face as the host smiled too wide. "Jaden, the world has been dying to know. Was your relationship with Shane Miller real, or was it all staged?" That was it. The moment, the one his PR team had written, rewritten, and rehearsed for weeks. He was supposed to smile, say something safe like "we're good friends," or "it was just for PR." Something that would make this nightmare go away. Jaden leaned forward, hands clasped. He looked steady, calm. But I knew him now. The twitch in his jaw, the way his fingers tapped against his knee. He was terrified. And then he said it. "The contract was," he said quietly, voice shaking just enough to sound human. "The feelings weren't." The host froze. The audience gasped. I think I stopped breathing. The internet exploded. Again. Hashtag the feelings. Weren't trended within minutes. Clips flooded every platform. Slow motion replays, emotional edits, fan theories. But for once, it didn't feel cruel. People weren't tearing me apart. They were rooting for us. I just sat there, staring at the screen, tears blurring everything. He wasn't supposed to do that. He'd just burned his whole image to tell the truth. And then, as if on cue, there was a knock at my door. It was late, close to midnight. I opened it anyway. Jaden stood there, still in the same outfit from the interview, mic makeup smudged, eyes tired and glassy. The interview, the confession, the chaos is waiting outside. I should have said something practical. Asked if his team knew he was here. Told him he'd just set the internet on fire again. But all I could do was stare. He looked exhausted and free, like he'd finally stopped running. "You said I should save myself," he whispered, voice barely holding together. "I did. I choose you." For a second, I just stood there, blinking back tears I didn't even realize had formed. Because no one had ever chosen me like that before, not for PR. Not for a story, just for me. Everything else fell away. The flashing cameras somewhere down the street, the noise online, the headlines that would explode by morning. None of it mattered. I closed the space between us in a heartbeat, hands in his hair. His breath catches against mine. And when I kissed him, it wasn't like that first time. Wild and panicked and full of lies. It was slow, steady, real, the kind of kiss that said we survived it. No PR, no pretending, just us. He smiled against my lips when we finally pulled apart, whispering, "So, does this mean I get to stay?" I laughed, wiping at my eyes. "Yeah, pop star, you're not going anywhere." And for once, it wasn't an act. A few months later. The world didn't end like we thought it would. No giant scandal, no blacklists, no ruined careers. Just quiet. Jaden disappeared from the spotlight for a while, and honestly, so did I. We hid out in a cabin outside the city, somewhere with no Wi-Fi and no reporters, just rain on the windows, and the kind of silence you forget exists when your life's been public property. For the first time in months, he slept through the night. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I had to apologize for being happy. A few months later, he called me into the studio. He was smiling, the real one, not the rehearsed one, and said, "I want to show you something." Then he hit play. The track started soft. Piano, then his voice. Raw, unfiltered, no auto-tune, just him. No lights, no lines, no script to read, just you and me, unscripted. I felt my chest tighten before the video even started. The screen lit up with us. Not staged, not polished. Just clips from the past few months. Cooking disasters. Lazy mornings. The time he tried to teach me how to dance in our kitchen and nearly broke a chair. Our laughter. Our arguments. Our reel. The music built, and the final shot was that night, the one in my doorway. His hand in mine. Rain in our hair. The moment everything stopped being fake. The title faded in white letters. Unscripted. Jaden Cross. When it dropped, the world lost it again. But that time, it wasn't anger. It was love fan edits. Reaction videos. Headlines calling it the most honest song of the decade. People said they could feel it, that it wasn't a performance anymore. And for once, they were right. Because this time, it wasn't about fixing a reputation. It was about telling the truth. Almost a year later. It's strange how quiet the home feels after everything. No cameras, no flashing lights. Just the sound of my mom cooking in the kitchen and the old clock ticking like it's been waiting for me to come back. I hadn't been home since the kiss. Since the headlines, the shouting, the disappointment in my dad's voice. Now, months later, it felt like walking into a place I used to know but didn't quite fit in anymore. Dinner was normal. Awkward, but normal. Dad asked about work and avoided eye contact. Mom kept refilling my plate like feeding me could fix whatever broke between us. When we were done, I started to help her clean up, but she stopped me and quietly slid a folded newspaper across the table. Jaden's face smiled back at me from the front page headline, Unscripted, the song that changed everything. I looked up, and she just said softly, "He seems to make you happy." No lecture, no anger, just that. I didn't realize how much I'd been waiting to hear it until my throat tightened. All I could do was nod. He does. My phone buzzed then, right on cue. A text from Jaden. Ready for round 2 on stage, but this time, no pretending. I grinned, thumbs already flying across the screen. Bring the lights, superstar. Somewhere miles away, he'd be smiling at that. And for the first time, I wasn't scared of who might be watching. Because after everything, the lies, the noise, the kiss that started it all. This was real the end, so tell me. Was it ever fake, or did the cameras just catch the truth? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to become part of our Rainbow Force, and consider joining our membership for early access and exclusive content. Stay wholesome.